Ladies and gentlemen, after completing 50 eventful episodes of business and leadership stories, we are not going to rest on our laurels. We're not going to look back at the past 50 and say we've done well and what's the road ahead. We're looking at the road ahead and going maybe 100, 200, 300, 1,000 more, trying to improve our own records. And that's Sachin Bhandari and myself. Sachin is my pal, my comrade in arms, who's been hand-holding me through these last 50 episodes of business and leadership stories. He tells a simple story, and then we get a marketing or communication tip from that story. How are you? And welcome to 51.
Thanks a lot, Rishi. You said 1,000 episodes, so I was calculating. That would mean about 20 years of doing this together. So imagine us in 20 years, man.
Some wonderful grays shall seep through, some baldness shall seep through, but the conversation will still be exciting and wonderful. Sachin does the Win with Stories newsletter, and you must go and check that out on LinkedIn. Michael Jordan, my God, he's revered as a god, isn't he?
Yes.
I saw this documentary on Netflix called The Last Dance, and I was absolutely staggered, and I said, how could I not follow basketball? And I think the reason for that predominantly is just the time difference. The games are, in the wee hours of the night.
Yeah.
It's almost a 24-hour tectonic shift if you watch a Chicago Bulls game. And The Last Dance, the Netflix series, as well as his life with the Bulls and his relationships with Phil Jackson and a whole lot of other people is something that you've been very influenced by.
So I think today's story is actually linked to that documentary itself. I watched this documentary like you did. And there's one thing that I'd like to bring to the spotlight. So this entire team which was together, the ones who, it's the most successful team in NBA ever. So there was Dennis Rodman, Stephen Kerr, of course, Michael, Black Jesus, Jordan. Kukoc as well, all of these folks. So then because of the difference of opinion with the management, this team was disbanded, right? So they were playing their last NBA championship together, which they won. And then everybody knew that now we are not going to be playing together anymore. So it was very difficult for this team to come to terms or come to fact with that. So that's when their coach Phil Jackson actually called them together one day, and it was a stadium, and he called everybody together and gave them a piece of paper, each one of them, and asked them to write what the team means to you. Steve Kerr actually wrote a poem about the team. And it is said that Michael Jordan, who's not known to betray his emotions or rather express his emotions, he also had a tear in his eye, and that is when everybody sort of got together, cried their hearts out, and then Phil Jackson asked them to burn these pieces of paper, put them in a can, and told them that this chapter of your life is now over and you all should move on. That is how it is said that the team actually was able to close the chapter and open a new chapter in their, each of their lives.
Well, there's something to be said about burning bridges,
Right.
if you can take it in the right manner.
Right.
Yeah. So wonderful. Would you tell us the marketing and communication tip that we can learn from great Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls?
In this particular story, Rishi, I feel it's about Phil Jackson.
Sure.
Phil Jackson.
What a
the
guide,
coach.
what a mentor. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he's written a book. I mean, he's written a couple of books, if I'm not wrong, and he's said to be one of the best coaches around the world. And if you want to learn leadership and coaching, his practices are pretty interesting because he's very spiritually driven, and he's also learned a lot about indigenous American practices and also Eastern philosophy, etc. So he got this idea of getting people to write what the team means to them, burning it and putting it into a piece of it's symbolic in a sense that this part of your life is over and now you need to move on. And the communication tip that I have with it is communication is not always just what you say, right? It's also about what you do. So rituals play a very important role in communication as well. So for instance, how Sahara back in the day had Sahara Pranam. That's a ritual which is linked with the organization and the community. So if you want to build a sense of community, building some kind of rituals which tell people or which indicate to people that we are part of this community is super important. So build in rituals. Of course, they shouldn't be phony, they shouldn't be cheesy, all of that is true. But as far as an opportunity provides itself, build a ritual around something. Maybe it's just a team meeting where you are giving a pat on the back to each other. That itself will be a ritual which will boost employee morale. So that's the marketing communication tip from this story.
And the ritual has nothing to do with religion.
That's right. That's right.
It's very dangerous these days. Very thin dividing line. Remember that. If we were to get in touch with you, and I urge people from the HR department, human resource departments of various companies to make use of this man's insights and come and speak to your top management, your middle management, employees on the floor, and inspire them. How can they reach you, and how can you do workshops for them?
It's pretty simple, Rishi. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can go to LinkedIn, look for Sachin Bhandari. Sachin is easy. Bhandari is Bhandary. And on my profile, there's a link which says get in touch or stay in touch. Click on that link. You can either subscribe to my newsletter or set up a Zoom call with me if you feel that your management is facing a specific challenge, and I can come and coach and train or use storytelling to be able to solve that particular challenge.
Wonderful. And we're going to see you next week, my friend. Bye-bye.
Look
See you.
forward, Rishi. Thank you.
94.3 Radio 1.